We'll call this meeting of the Committee of the Whole to order at 6:23. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Allen.
Here.
Mayor Murphy.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Doherty.
Here.
Mr. Burchett.
Here.
Mrs. Witt.
Here.
Ms. Marcus.
Here. We have the approval of the minutes from our last meeting. Well, I'm lost on the software here. What was the date of that last meeting?
The 8th, December.
On December 8th, we'll have those minutes approved as they are if there are no changes or corrections. Hearing none, they are approved. We'll go into reports. Finance Director,
No report, thank you.
City Manager.
Yes, thank you. The only item is I wanted to let you know we received some applications for the city planner position, and Development Director Matt and I reviewed those, and we're trying to set up interviews for the top three applicants for next week. I think two of them have landed on Tuesday. We haven't heard back from the third. Wasn't a large candidate pool, however, I do think within the top three, we got some pretty good applicants. And I'll follow back up with you and let you know how that goes. After the first interview, we would likely bring one or two of them back, or all three, and let the rest of community development kind of join in and share their insights and get a feel for the applicant. So that's where we are in that process. In regards to city engineer, we're still struggling like the other communities that don't currently have that position filled, and we're not really receiving any live applications at this point. However, we are continuing to advertise for the post. It's very common right now, both in the private and public sector, to be struggling to have opening positions within engineering. Thank you. That's all that I have.
Thank you. Mayor, do you have anything?
I have nothing at this time.
Law Director?
I just have one item. That's to request an executive session at the end of this meeting with no business to follow for matters pertaining to employment of a public employee.
I'll make a motion that we go to executive session with no business to follow after this meeting for personnel.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mayor Murphy.
Yes.
Mrs. Allen.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mrs. Witt.
Yes.
Mr. Burchett.
Yes.
Mr. Doherty.
Yes.
Ms. Marcus.
Yes. Clerk of Council, do you have anything?
I have nothing, thank you.
We'll go into business. The first item is the purchase of leaf and vacuum boxes.
Chris, would you like to say a few words about this request, please?
So this piece of equipment is to replace an old leaf vac that we have now and some boxes that we've really been kind of just patching up for the last 4 or 5 years to get by. At the end of this season, we had some issues with the engine in the leaf vac that we have now. So this would be a big help for us in being able to maintain the leaf pickup program that we have with the residents.
Is this a budgeted item? Since this is now all
Yeah.
changed.
Yes, it is.
And is it what we quoted in the budget, the amount?
Correct. Chris, is everything accurate from the budget amount to what we are receiving from a quote?
He's not.
Yeah, everything that is here is the price that it will be.
What's that? Over 100,000.
It is 2023.
Right. This new agenda doesn't show anything.
It's showing.
It's not, yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll work through some of
You
through
mean
some of
the
those kinks.
description?
No, but it's not, where before it would say it was a budgeted item, and like I said,
Oh.
usually it showed like more than one quote, but we're picking this quote. It would show us the 3 quotes, and then the quote that we were picking, that he was picking.
We'll work through those kinks.
Yeah, it's got, I'm seeing the quotes.
And this is being purchased through the government bidding procedures? The HGAC or the state of Ohio, is that what this is?
Yes.
Is the head
So that's,
tech-
Terry, that's why you're seeing the one. It's because it went through the Don, was it the HGAC one? Yes, yeah.
There's just a lot, and we're not seeing what we used to see, and that's why with each one is questioned, because it's not there anymore.
Okay. Well, we can add to
But
that,
we're
can't we,
working
Amy,
on the
moving
bugs.
forward? We
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
Yes.
Before we had like item summaries for each
Yeah.
item and generating the packet, not realizing what was included, what was not included, what we needed to check to include. So yeah, it's just little kinks here and there. But we'll get it fixed by next time for sure.
Just leave that.
And see if it's showing.
Is it just the second one on here, not the,
See, that's what's
Headsets.
so hard. The headsets are with it,
yeah, that's part of that same thing?
yes.
If I may just jump in, all of these items on the list tonight are within budget for
Okay.
2023. So
Yeah, it's this new
Yeah.
program, and
Sure.
it's,
But we have the ability to improve it, Amy, is what you were saying, and to be able to slowly get everything integrated back into what you were used to seeing.
Yes, if it's something that we have to have each department head put a memo in as an attachment, we can do it that way. Whatever we have to work through the system, but yeah, we'll get that taken care of.
Okay. I'll make the motion that we have legislation drawn up for the Titan Leaf Pro Plus vacuum. That's it.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Daugherty,
Yes.
Mr. Burchett,
Yes.
Mrs. Witt,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mayor Murphy,
yes.
Mrs. Allen,
Yes.
Ms. Marcus.
Yes. The next item is the new radios and base stations for trucks.
Chris?
So these are to replace radios that are currently installed in the trucks that will no longer work. A few years ago, we were able to repurpose some radios from the police and fire department into our trucks. So when we're plowing snow and stuff like that, we can. It's a lot easier to use a radio than a cell phone. It's a lot safer. And a big reason we did that, we helped with the tornado cleanup a little bit in Trotwood, and we found out when we were up there that some of their cell service didn't work. So the only way that a lot of the city officials and the police and fire were able to communicate was through the radio system. So we thought that it would be, important that we maintain that here in case, something would happen. But this is to replace existing radios that are no longer going to be able to work on the system that we have.
I'll make a motion that we have legislation prepared for the new radios and base stations for the street department trucks.
Any other questions or comments?
Just real quick, this is, if I'm reading this correctly, this is through the state of Ohio bid process?
Chris?
It says-
It should be through
Yeah, it says
PNR.
contract 21336 Ohio State of, so I'm assuming that's through the state bid. I just wanted to make sure for the legislation.
Yeah, we asked that it be through the
State bid.
state bid.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mayor Murphy,
Yes.
Mrs. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Witt,
Yes.
Mr. Daugherty,
Yes.
Mr. Burchett,
Yes.
Ms. Marcus.
Yes. The next item is the zero-turn mowers.
These mowers are to replace mowers that have met their life expectancy that we've been using currently. They are, I believe this is a state bid item also. And I believe it's being paid for out of the cemetery fund.
That is correct.
Is this for one or two?
This is for two.
I'll make a motion that we have legislation drawn up for the zero-turn mower purchase.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Witt,
Yes.
Mr. Burchett,
Yes.
Mrs. Allen,
Yes.
Mayor Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Daugherty,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Marcus.
Yes. The next item is the purchase of arrow boards for traffic control.
So the next item is 2 aero boards to replace the ones that we have now. They are both fairly old. One is a gas model and one is a solar model. We have been struggling with finding parts to fix the 2 aero boards that we have now when they break because they're obsolete. We are actually, our mechanics have been able to kind of work their magic and get them back running, but these will be a great service to us because usually when we need these is an emergency situation, and being able to grab them and know they're going to work versus what we're dealing with now will be a big help to us in our department.
Chris, what is that?
So aero board is like what you would see in traffic control that would flash if you need to get to the left or to the right.
Okay. I just never heard the term.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Will we maintain the other two, even though they're not as reliable, Chris, or how's that gonna work?
I've discussed with the mechanics, I think that we would be able to maybe maintain the solar-powered one, but the gas engine one, we're just not able to get parts for it. So when it finally goes, it's gonna go.
I'll make a motion that the necessary legislation be prepared for the purchase of the aero boards.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Allen?
Yes.
Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Daugherty?
Yes.
Mr. Burchett?
Yes.
Mrs. Witt?
Yes.
Ms. Marcus?
Yes. The next item is the purchase of 2 pickup trucks.
Okay, so the next two, I'm sure everybody's aware of the issue with trying to get vehicles and how hard it is. The last time we purchased through Ford. Ford would not even give us a price on trucks. They basically said, you can order it, you've got a 50-50 chance of getting the truck. So we've reached out to Dodge and we've reached out to Chevrolet on some options that we could possibly get. We found out that it's kind of like you put an order in and you might get it and you might not. We're currently waiting on a truck from last year that we ordered in February we still haven't got. So this is basically just to try to purchase 2 pickup trucks that we will hopefully see sometime this year.
Is this for 3 trucks or 2 trucks? But we have 3 quotes here.
Yeah, we quoted some different styles. Actually, the Chevy trucks, they come in a work truck version and a custom version. They already told us that the work truck version you won't get. You can put an order in, but they'll end up canceling it like 6-7 months. The other trucks that they feel confident we could get in 4 to 6 months, the custom trim on the Chevys. The Dodges, they feel like we could confidently get in 4 to 6 months. And like I said, Ford was not even willing to, the guy that we used was not even willing to price because he basically said that they'll put the order in and usually what happens is they just cancel the order.
On the one, it has snowplow prep / camper package. What is a camper package?
So when we went to build these trucks, they left off the snowplow package, which is considered, it's a snowplow camper package, which it's where the suspension and everything is set up and ready to put a snowplow on. The camper package is basically the hitch on the back.
Okay.
So you can tow something. He forgot to leave that on there, so they added it there instead of reprinting everything again, but that's basically what that is.
Okay.
Did we get any quotes besides these 2 from other vendors?
So we reached out to, this was through Jeff Schmidt, we reached out to Voss and we reached out to White Allen, and they both said that what you have there is the exact same thing we give you. This is built right on Chevrolet's website. So the price would be exactly the same. So we did reach out, and they were willing to give us, it would be basically the same thing. If you see that on there, there's nothing that lists a certain dealer, that's because that's just straight from the manufacturer.
I'll make a motion to have legislation prepared for the 2 pickup trucks for the street department.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mayor Murphy,
Yes.
Mrs. Allen,
Yes.
Mrs. Witt,
Yes.
Mr. Burchett,
Yes.
Mr. Doherty,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Marcus.
Yes. The next item is the purchase of police portable radios.
Thank you. We are requesting legislation be prepared for 3 Motorola portable radios. This will supplement our current stock and give us extras for maintenance, damage, and other issues we may experience where we need to swap radios in and out. We received a quote from PNR Communications for a price of $16,402.80. This is going to include the purchase price and the programming price. This is state of Ohio contract pricing, and it also represents a discount from normal retail price of approximately 25%. And this was a budgeted item for 2023.
I'll make a motion that we have a legislation drawn up to purchase the police portable radios.
Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Witt,
Yes.
Mrs. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Burchett,
Yes.
Mayor Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Doherty,
Yes.
Ms. Marcus.
Yes. Next item is the purchase of police mobile radios.
Yeah, this is going to be a purchase of 6 in-car radios. This was a project that started in 2022 where we split our purchase. We already are in possession of 7 in-car radios. This is due to a 2024 end of life where encryption and compatibility issues will warrant us to purchase new radios. As I said, we purchased half last year. We received state of Ohio contract pricing from, again, Motorola PNR Communications, and would like to proceed with the purchase of 6 APX 6500 radios. This price that will include the programming and installation of all 13 radios that we currently have, and that is for an approximate price of $43,280.92. This is also state contract pricing and includes the 25% off of the normal price. And this was a 2023 budgeted item.
I make a motion that the legislation be prepared for the purchase of the police mobile radios.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Allen,
Yes.
Mayor Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Doherty,
Yes.
Mr. Burchett,
Yes.
Mrs. Witt,
Yes.
Ms. Marcus.
Yes. The next item is the purchase of marked police cars.
Thank you. This is the last item that I have tonight. This will be for the purchase, and we're requesting legislation for the purchase of 2 marked police cars for 2023. We have been diligent in trying to select our next patrol vehicles based on cost, maintenance, availability, and projected use. We received and obtained Ohio bid pricing for several makes and models. During the initial state contracts, we determined that due to ongoing parts and labor shortages, the only suitable vehicle for us at this time within a reasonable time frame is a Chevy Tahoe, black in color. We spoke with the City of Moraine mechanics, and they agreed that this was the best available option for us, and really the only option for us to receive any additional marked vehicles for the next 18 months. The state bid dealer is Tim Lally Chevrolet. Advised that the probable delivery date for these vehicles would be in June of this year. We are still waiting for our Ford Explorers from 2022. Hopefully they will be in the next couple weeks. So that's why we feel like this is the only option for us, as the street department also commented it's just hard to get vehicles at this time.
Yes.
The purchase price would be $115,373. This package and the price will include the total outfitting of the cruiser, to include all of our internal components, light bar, and our graphics package. And this was a budgeted item for 2023.
I'll make a motion
Oh, go ahead.
to have legislation drawn for the purchase of 2 marked police cars.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Burchett,
Yes.
Mrs. Witt,
Yes.
Mr. Doherty,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mayor Murphy,
Yes.
Mrs. Allen,
Yes.
Ms. Marcus.
Yes. The next item is the purchase of cardio room, treadmills, and weight room equipment.
Yeah, so currently, right now, we have 5 main treadmills that we use in the cardio room, and those treadmills are way past their prime. I believe we purchased them from what I found in 2010 and 2012. Most of the treadmills that the company we have that does our biannual maintenance says most of the treadmills get lifetime is 5,000 miles on them, and every single one of those exceed those 5,000 miles. So what we would, excuse me, what we'd like to do is, excuse me, purchase this new equipment to replace and upgrade our old equipment. I think you have 3 quotes for the treadmills in front of you. We decided to go with Design to Wellness to purchase this equipment because they do our biannual preventative maintenance, and they are also the company that we've used for the past couple of years, obviously a couple of decades, to purchase our equipment from. I'd like to proceed with this purchase for the 5 new treadmills and the other equipment in the amount of $37,452 and not to exceed the capital budgeted approval of $40,000. This is a capital budgeted item for 2023.
Brent, have you checked to see if there's any grants available?
I did not, no.
I would think that would be a grant worthy.
I can look into that, yes, but I didn't.
Through the Bureau.
These treadmills are something that I've been wanting to get done since I've come on here because I knew they were old, and we've been spending roughly $5,000 a year on extra maintenance on them. So if they go down, so you'll have the biannual maintenance come out. In between that time of those 6 months, if one goes down or is out of order, then we have to bring this company down, which costs us, they come from Columbus, $125 a person. So there's a lot of extra things that are going into this, and we just keep doing maintenance on them, and it's something that it actually would spice up our cardio room too, because the treadmills from 2010 to now are way different. We're going to get some that are modern and hopefully is appealing to people.
I just know anything health related, Bureau of Workers' Comp, they hand out a lot of grants, a lot of money. That might be worth checking into.
I will.
The finance department can help with that as well.
Okay.
Because we deal with workers' comp as well, so.
Okay. Thank you.
So we don't want to do a resolution for this?
I don't know.
We're going to look into grants?
I don't know.
We could find something pretty quick, like whether it's a yes
Okay.
or no.
So we'll hold off on this one.
Yeah, and I would say that at the end of the day, if we were able to secure a grant, then we just wouldn't exhaust all the funds.
Okay.
Well, I will say this quote's only good until the 27th. So we got this quote extended because 2022 pricing and 2023 pricing are different. So in 2023, they're going to go up. So if we delay this, then the price is going to go up. Now, whether we get grant money or not, that's obviously not a guarantee, but this was budgeted for 2023.
Can you apply for a grant after the fact? I don't know.
No, but, I mean, Brent has a good point that, I mean, usually those processes take a while, but to be honest, I'm not sure that there's anything like that these would qualify for any of those types of grants. So, but we can double check.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we have legislation drawn up for the purchase of cardio room treadmills and weight room equipment.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Doherty?
Yes.
Mrs. Witt?
Yes.
Mr. Burchett?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mrs. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Marcus?
Yes. The next item, the microfilming and archiving services with Montgomery County.
Yes, thank you. This is an annual housekeeping item. I've included the contract in the packet. The same services apply as in 2022. We'll have the same services in 2023, and the costs will remain the same. These are services that are provided by the county for record storage and microfilming services for mainly the police department. I don't know if you have any questions.
Yeah, because there's no amount, because we don't know what it would be.
Yes, we don't know. I have in my budget a certain amount. I know the police department has the other half of the budget in their, or amount in their budget. We never know how much it's going to be. It just depends on how much the police utilizes the service.
I'll make a motion that we have legislation prepared for microfilming and archiving services through Montgomery County.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mayor Murphy,
Yes.
Mrs. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Doherty,
Yes.
Mrs. Witt,
Yes.
Mr. Burchett,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Marcus.
Yes. The next item is out-of-county travel for council in 2023.
And council, I apologize. This is just a short little housekeeping item. I thought it would be included in the packet as far as an item summary, which obviously was not. This is a housekeeping item that is done every year. It's just council granting permission to have out-of-county travel for Mayors and Managers Association meetings, for National League of Cities, if you so choose to attend that also, so.
But it doesn't have to be just National League of
No,
Cities.
of course not. No. Mm-mm.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we add that to the agenda. Out-of-county travel for 2023.
Motion to add it to the
Or
agenda.
legislation prepared. Duh.
Have it forwarded to the next meeting.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Just so you can go to.
Mrs. Witt,
Yes.
Mr. Burchett,
Yes.
Mr. Doherty,
Yes.
Mrs. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mayor Murphy,
Yes.
Ms. Marcus.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, our final item is the Christmas lighting report and request for legislation.
Yes, this extends back to 2021, and this agenda item requires 3 pieces of legislation. All of you will probably recall that I provided a very detailed report on this last week via email. But in brief, the reason the legislation is needed is because after much discussion by council in 2021 about concerns over the decorations and lighting at the municipal building, it was determined after said meeting by me through staff discussion that we could wrap additional trees in front of the building and provide some additional decorations that the street department had purchased to hopefully satisfy concerns that council and the administration were receiving. At the end of 2021, an invoice for the additional tree light wrapping was outside the original agreement in the amount of $11,900 was received, and I authorized that payment. The additional payment, which was not initially budgeted, ultimately caused a reduction for the 2022 budget, thereby not allowing enough funds to cover the 2 current invoices for this past Christmas. The legislation needed includes a resolution to approve an addendum to the original agreement, a resolution allowing for a then and now payment since we currently have the invoices in hand, and a supplemental appropriation to address the additional funds needed. Regarding the supplemental, I was able to get the addendum that we will attach has been revised. I contacted We Decorate, and the company has agreed to remove the tree wrap lighting cost for 2023. Thereby, this will positively reduce the supplemental amount needed by $11,900. The finance director could speak. I know he provided a letter as well, and the finance director could speak to the process, supplemental process, and what that amount might end up being.
So with the removal of the third year or the 2023 additional service, the total budget impact for this year for 2023 would be about $26,000. The city manager and myself, we talked about the possibility of doing some internal transfers within the general miscellaneous department, but because it is January and there's we have planned for certain expenses out of that department. We don't want to. We can't take all 26,000 from other expense lines to cover it. So I would say comfortably we could move 5,000 to 6,000 from some other lines. So, a supplemental appropriation of about 20,000 would be helpful to be able to cover this. So,
That'll cover it. What about the purchase order? How, is
How we
that straightened out?
How are we gonna fix that?
so there's a current purchase order open for the balance of the 2022 service. It's the current purchase order that's open is only half of the 2022 service. So the then and now certificate will allow us to open a 2023 purchase order and then pay off of that 2023 to pay for the balance of 2022. So, so the additional appropriation would help to pay for 2023, actually, because we have to pay the 2022 service at this point, and we do have the $29,207, set aside right now for 2023 in the budget. So,
And there will not be the additional expenditure because WEDAC rate is not going to do the tree wrap in 2023. So that 11.9 goes away. And then we may work with the street department. I had spoken to Brian Campbell about this, seeing if they might be able to wrap some trees out front and keep that in-house.
So Don, you were concerned about the audit. How's this going to affect us?
I don't know. I can't say for sure how it'll be taken. But before any, we could not do anything in 2022 to pay for the 2022 invoices because, in my opinion, we didn't have anything to support that. Like, we didn't have the amendment to the contract to support the additional purchase. So, so I don't know how it'll be viewed. That we'll have to see how that works out with the audit, and so we'll just have to let them make their independent judgment on how that goes.
So how could this have been avoided?
Well, much of this came down to the limited amount of meetings that we had in November and December and the concerns the council and the public was sharing with me, saying that we needed to do something more out front. So that's what initially led to taking some kind of an action to appease and kind of calm the storm of the inquiries that were coming in. I think that we could have addressed it earlier. Initially, I didn't catch it when the request of the invoice came in. It was its own separate invoice. It wasn't a collective invoice like we initially received this year. So at the 11,900, that was it within my authority to do that. However, it got pulled from the budget, draining the budget to not be able to make the third invoice. So it will not happen again. And it was just an oversight in trying to address the concerns that were out there.
So that's my question. Why did the finance director not know anything about this?
I had thought that communication was going on. This was initially handled by Aaron Vitor. He's the one that did the research on all that. I don't know if he has any additional comments on it or not. I assume that communication was taking place.
And then another question, why would Aaron be in charge of this?
Well, council worked with him. He's the one that did the research and brought the proposal forward for the WEDAC rate and the Christmas tree lighting. He's the one the council was having all the discussions with regarding this. You
That is
remember
true,
that from the prior
but
meetings.
when I got that report, I was really concerned. And I'm even more concerned that this will affect us on our audit because we've done so well. And
I agree, and I think the steps that we're taking here today in these three pieces will assist us. It will come out okay.
And I would like an assurance from you and the finance director that this won't happen again,
It will not.
because we do need to work together.
Oh, and we do.
Okay,
This was an isolated incident where I think we had thought the communication, or I had thought the communication had already occurred.
so Don, if we handle it this way, you think that will be the solution?
I mean, it'll help. I mean, certainly with the then and now, we do need the then and now certificate or the, resolution there to allow us to open up that purchase order and then to pay for the 2022 service on the 2023 purchase order. In terms of, retroactive, going back and like a retroactive amendment to the contract. Again, I can't speak for, I can't say how that will be, viewed by the auditors. It's up to them to decide if that, was, appropriate or, if the delay in time here, because it's been about 14 months since that occurred, I don't know, how they will view that, the timing of things, so.
So what legislation do you need from us tonight?
We need the three pieces. We need a resolution for a then and now. Well, first, we need a resolution. The first would be a request for a resolution to allow for an addendum to the original agreement with We Decorate. The second, if you can do them all at once, the second would be for the then and now payment, which essentially means that we have an invoice in hand, but we don't have the purchase order yet open. And then the third is supplemental, which I believe Don referenced, $20,000 would be the amount that could be put in there because of the reduction for 23, and then also the possibility of some internal transfer.
Can we do this with one vote, or do they need to be voted on separately?
Since they're all interrelated, I think we can do that with one vote. Simply say the requested legislation.
For the tree lighting, is that what you want to say? Just,
Yeah, let's, I'll make a motion to have proper legislation drawn up for the three pieces we spoke of, the addendum, the then and now, and the supplemental for $20,000.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Doherty?
Yes.
Mrs. Witt?
Yes.
Mr. Burchett?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Murphy?
yes,
Mrs. Allen?
yes,
Ms. Marcus?
Yes. We're going to staff and council reports. Tonight, I'm going to pick on the police department first.
Nothing to report, thank you.
Fire department,
No report, thank you, ma'am.
Parks and Rec,
No report, thank you.
community development,
No report tonight, thank you.
street department,
No report, thank you.
clerk of council,
No report, thank you.
law director,
No, ma'am, thank you.
finance director,
On January 3rd, I got a call from our auditor saying, when can we get started? So, Happy New Year to us. So our audit is already, the beginning stages, we're already underway with that. And then also the accountant who works on our financial statements, he's already received some 2022 documents from us. So that process is already underway. And we hope to have the audit done a little earlier this year. I'm not sure if that will actually happen. We will need a single audit for this year. Single audit meaning that's a audit of federal government dollars. So we had a large ODOT project this year on Dryden Road that will need to be audited, and then some other federal programs. We went over the threshold there, so of $750,000 this past year. So we will have to have a federal audit, and you will see legislation eventually for a audit modification agreement because we'll have to pay extra for that federal audit. So we did not have to do that last year, but it just depends on, year to year, if we have those, large projects going on. So, so there will be that coming here soon. And we're just gearing up for tax season, and as people get their W-2s in January, we'll start seeing people rolling in to our building here to pay their taxes. And so be proactive, do it early, please don't wait, because it just, yeah, it just helps us out. Thank you.
City manager,
I have nothing further, thank you.
mayor,
I have nothing further, thank you.
Mr. Burchett,
No report, thank you.
Mr. Dougherty,
Should say we hit the ground running. We spent some money tonight for sure, but nothing else, thank you.
Mr. Miller,
Nothing further, thank you.
Mrs. Witt,
Nothing further, thank you.
Mrs. Downing,
Nothing to add, thank you.
and I have nothing to report either. So at this time, we will adjourn to executive session with no business to follow
Yeah.
at 7:04.